There was a knock at my door. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice carrying a mix of caution and curiosity. A soft female voice replied, "It's me, your neighbor." "Oh, come on in, the door is open," I said, half wondering which neighbor it could be. The door creaked open, and in walked a young woman I barely recognized. She was new to the compound. We had never exchanged a word, no greetings, not even a casual smile. She stepped in, holding a food flask, her eyes steady, her lips curved into the faintest smile. Her presence was unexpected, unsettling even. The air felt different, charged. "How are you? Hope all is well?" I asked, trying to mask my surprise with courtesy. "All is well, my handsome neighbor," she replied warmly, raising the flask. "I made a delicious meal and decided to share it with you, if you don't mind." I blinked, taken aback. "Well, this is a surprise. We've never spoken before, and now here you are, showering me with kindness." She simply smiled and sat quietly on the couch, placing the flask on the center table as though she had already decided I would accept it. "You're God sent," I said, shaking my head slowly. "It feels like you knew how hungry I was. I just rushed home from the office to fix something because I was famished. But, pardon me, what's your name? Where are you from? What brings you to Abuja? You look like a youth service corps member." She laughed softly, her laughter light but mysterious. "Not really, dear. My name is Joy. I'm from Cross River State. I trade in women's clothes online, but I'm planning to open a shop here in the city." "That's impressive," I said, leaning forward, studying her more carefully. She was confident yet reserved, her every word measured. "You must be hardworking." "Thank you," she replied, her smile deepening. Then her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "But you haven't told me your name." "Oh, forgive me. My name is Wilson, from Abia State. I'm an artist." Her eyes wandered across the portraits on my wall, faces frozen in strokes of color, landscapes whispering of imagination. "Oh, I see. No wonder these paintings look so magnificent. You're talented." "Thank you," I said with a grin. "I'll make a sketch of you someday." She blushed faintly. "I can't wait for that day." Rising slowly, she adjusted her dress, picked up her bag, and added, "Let me take my leave now. Enjoy the meal?" I nodded politely. "All right, but let me finish preparing my own food first before I eat yours." "It's okay," she said softly, her eyes lingering on me longer than necessary, before stepping out of the door. When the door shut behind her, silence filled the room again. I stared at the flask on the table, my instincts whispering unease. Something about the entire encounter felt too sudden. Still, I brushed the thought aside, turned to my kitchen, and finished preparing the noodles I had started cooking. The food she brought sat untouched. Something in me resisted it, though I couldn't explain why. Days passed. The encounter faded to the back of my mind. Life moved on, until my phone rang one fateful afternoon. It was my landlord. His voice was sharp and urgent. "Wilson, come home immediately." Without hesitation, I grabbed my keys and drove back. My chest tightened with anxiety. As I approached the compound, I saw a crowd gathered. Faces were long and heavy, shadows of grief dancing in their eyes. My heart pounded in my chest like a drum of doom. I pushed my way through the crowd and found my landlord in the middle of it all. Before I could speak, he turned on me, his eyes blazing with accusation. His voice cracked like thunder. "What have you done to Joy? She's dying, and she's been calling your name." Every head turned in my direction. Dozens of eyes pierced through me, waiting for a confession, a slip, anything. "What? I don't understand," I stammered, my tongue heavy. "The only time I've ever spoken to her was the day she brought me food." "We've had no other dealings," the crowd murmured, suspicion buzzing like angry bees. My landlord's glare softened slightly, but doubt lingered in his expression. "She was screaming in pain, calling your name," he pressed. "There's no other Wilson here, just you." I told him everything, how she had knocked on my door, offered food, stayed a few minutes, then left. That was all. Still, doubt danced in his eyes. That night was the longest of my life. The next morning, I found a letter slipped under my door. My chest tightened as I read the bold words, "Quit notice." Confused, angry, betrayed, I rushed to my landlord's house. "Sir, I thought you believed me." He sighed heavily, shoulders sagging. "I do, Wilson, but this isn't about me. Joy's mother came to Abuja. She mentioned your name, said you had a hand in her daughter's condition. Wilson, I'm doing you a favor. Leave tonight. Tomorrow might be too late." His words chilled me. I looked into his weary eyes and saw both pity and fear. That night, I packed what I could and moved into my uncle's house. Weeks became months. I secured secured a new apartment but lived like a shadow of myself. I avoided neighbors, refused casual friendships, and spent most of my days painting in silence. Joy's face haunted me, her faint smile, her eyes roaming over my paintings, her voice calling my name. These memories lingered like smoke in a sealed room. I tried to move on, but every knock on my door sent shivers down my spine. 1 year later, my thirst for closure dragged me back to my old landlord's house. He welcomed me warmly this time and offered food and drink as though nothing had happened. I declined the food, but accepted a drink, holding it cautiously. "Tell me about Joy," I asked, my voice low, pressing. He leaned back and sighed, the weight of memory heavy in his eyes. "Joy nearly killed herself with desperation," he said quietly. "She wanted a husband so badly that her mother took her to a fake prophet. He gave her a powder charm and told her to put it in the food of the man she desired. If he ate, he'd love her forever. If he didn't, it would backfire. Madness or death?" I froze, my drink halfway to my lips. "She said you were her dream man," he continued. "She brought you the meal, but after she left your house, she lost control. She was screaming, tearing her clothes, and calling your name. She was taken to a psychiatric hospital. No injection or prayer helped. They finally took her back to the village. That was the last I heard of her." The room grew heavy, the air suffocating. I cleared my throat and said slowly, "I didn't eat the food." "What?" he asked, sitting forward. "I didn't eat it. The moment she left, I disposed of it. Something in my spirit told me not to." The landlord's eyes widened. He stood, pacing. "So that's it? Yes, yes. That explains everything." He fell silent, shook his head, then looked up with relief in his eyes. "God truly spared you." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling and thinking of Joy, the girl who knocked on my door with a smile, carrying not just a meal, but a destiny twisted by desperation. I thought of how close I had come to destruction, how one simple decision, choosing not to eat her food, had drawn a line between life and madness, between freedom and ruin. The knock had changed everything. It forced me to see the fragility of trust, the dangers hidden in desperate hearts, and the mysterious ways of God's protection. And even now, whenever I hear a knock at my door, I pause, I listen, I wonder. Because sometimes what stands on the other side of the door isn't just a neighbor, it's fate knocking. If this story holds you in its grip, don't let it end here. Share it, talk about it, and tell me, what would you have done if Joy knocked on your door with that meal?